Good morning, one and all. Today we have a senior bureaucrat and CEO of NHA, Mr. R.S. Sharma, with us, who has joined us with ET Helper. Thanks a lot for joining in, sir, and giving your time. Quickly to begin with, I will ask you the first question. How has the public response has been, sir, to the vaccination via COVID so far? Because I think you had started in January and it's almost May now and 5 months now. So how it has been, sir, and being the chairman of the Empowered Group on Vaccine Administration, how we are seeing how it's helping to meet the country's vaccination objectives, and if you can just give us your input, sir.
Well, thank you very much, Pratibhaji, for having me on this platform. So, to answer your question, let's also understand that people have been varied experiences. Some people have been praising the platform, some people have been condemning the platform. So, question is, how do you derive a single kind of conclusion from that? So, I think what the eGov has done, MyGov platform has done a survey of the satisfaction levels of people who are using COVID. That is basically based on a large amount of sample data, and that should be the yardstick. I don't remember the figures, but I would advise you to show to your viewers the MyGov survey done on the COVID platform, on the friendliness and otherwise of the COVID platform. Otherwise, you see, to say that it has been good or bad will basically be questionable, because in such large data situations where 200 million people have been vaccinated, now to actually capture this part in an anecdotal manner will not be appropriate.
So, how has it been, sir? Majorly on April and March, there were few technical glitches. Now, I think it's very smooth. And if you can just give us your view on that, how it has evolved, the past 5 months of your journey with this app, at least, if you can. Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Thank you very much. That's a very good question. What we had we started this platform on 16th of January when the Honorable Prime Minister launched the vaccination drive in our country. And at that time, around 200,000, that is 2 lakh people were getting vaccinated every day. And thereafter, the numbers have increased. And, at some point in time, we were having about 45 lakhs people vaccinated in a day. Though the numbers have come down recently, but I'm sure the numbers will increase further. So the platform has continued to develop and has become A, more user friendly, B, more scalable. It can handle much more numbers now, and actually it has become a platform which is working quite well. With regard to the glitches, etc., unfortunately, the some media houses, both digital and print, have all been quite unkind to the efforts of technology efforts, and they made some absolutely news. They made a news which was not based on any facts. So, for example, when it was open for the vaccination registration was open for 18 to 45 on 28th of April. Many media channels reported that the application has crashed, which is actually a fake news, because the total number of registrations in a matter of 8 hours, starting on 28th of April to 4 p.m. to 28th of April midnight, was 1.37 crores. So 13.7 million sort of registrations took place. You can't call the platform not working. So I think, yes, I agree that when the initial platform was launched on 16th of April, there were for a couple of days some issues, some glitches, which had been sorted out. And since then, it has been working absolutely smoothly and flawlessly.
Okay, sir. So moving on, there was this new set of guidelines by the government for COVID aimed at allowing the third parties, right, to enable registration, scheduling, and also management of vaccination through their apps. So how it's going to fasten the vaccination process? If you can just touch upon it and tell us those advantages for the third party apps if you're giving it.
Well, vaccination process cannot be sort of accelerated unless you have vaccines available, right? The COVID platform cannot create vaccines. So that's one part. It's not dependent. Only thing is that by allowing third parties to develop applications, it will probably improve the usability of the application front end. People will be able to innovate new methods and new ways of registration. So maybe that's one part. Secondly, also there are many states which are looking for putting for more criteria besides the age criteria to their bouquet of eligibility criteria. So that will enable the states also to basically build an application on top of it, which actually can filter people according to these criteria. However, what is important is that all these third-party applications will have to talk to CoWIN every time there is an activity which takes place. So for example, every time a vaccination takes place, that vaccination will be uploaded real time on CoWIN platform. The adverse impact of that vaccination takes place, that also will be uploaded on real time on the CoWIN platform. So these are, and certificate download will also take place from CoWIN platform, because that certificate will be acceptable throughout the country. So these are some of the things which will have to remain, sort of centralized, so to say, or at one place. The centralized may not be the correct word to say, but for data consistency and interoperability and mobility assurance, it has to remain at one place. For example, if I got my dose in Jharkhand and my data is in Jharkhand only, then when I come to Delhi, I can't get that dose in Delhi because that data is not portable. Now, if you have a data at one place, the system knows that yes, my first dose was in Ranchi and my second dose is now due in Delhi, and I can take dose in Delhi. So therefore, portability of the data and other things that require to be centralized, but there are facets of the software which is again based on open architecture and open APIs. Those facets or those applications can be built by third parties.
So now, can you tell us about the role of the private sector, sir, here, and how it has been for the past few months, how we have seen them, how they have evolved, kind of interventions you expect out of them for the vaccination process itself, and what kind of conversation you're having with the private hospitals for the CoWIN app thing, like, if you have.
I think private sectors have to basically onboard on the CoWIN platform in order to, in case they are doing vaccination for a non-captive group, which means that if they are doing a vaccination for public, then they have to make their vacancies public on CoWIN platform. However, if they are doing it for some industrial houses or some captive group, then they don't have to make the vacancies public. With regard to the participation of the private sector has been participating, and there have been absolutely no impediments on their participation. Now what has happened is that for participating in the process, they just have to register on the platform and basically get credentials from the district immunization officers at the district level, and thereafter they are good to go. They can create sessions, they can create, they can change the capacities, they can do whatever editing they want to do on the profile of the hospital, the place, address, etc., geocoding. So I think that's all in their hands. So I think this is this is very important in order to ensure that you provide a full freedom, or they are able to create their own sort of data points. That's what is being done. So I have seen all the the interaction has been good. Of course, the vaccination done by private sector could have probably been a little more because the number of participation recently we have seen has come down, and probably that is because of the fact that there are delays in procurement of the vaccines or whatever. I mean, I'm not really aware of all those details, but we are just looking at the data. The data number of hospitals participating is less than what it was some time back.
Sir, coming to more technical part on the application programming interface of the CoWIN platform for the third-party applications, is there a threat of public API of the CoWIN app being misused by the programs, or to automate the process of registration of the COVID-19 vaccination and notification? Do you have any plans to check this misuse? There's been one or two complaints here and there popping out, so I just wanted to know how it is from your side. Maybe a clarification.
Again, let me say that these complaints are all anecdotal. Some claims are being made by some fellows that they are able to book the registration, book the appointments on the CoWIN platform through their scripts or codes. So firstly, let me deal with that two levels. One is that those people who are claiming and bragging about their exploits on the CoWIN platform. It is ethically and morally so wrong. These people who are technically savvy, these people should be expending their energy in helping others to get vaccinations and others to get, other unfortunate brethren of theirs to, become inclusive. They should help them in getting themselves, those people, registered. Rather than doing that, they are, getting undue advantage of their skills. They claim to be getting undue advantage of their skills and kind of declare with a lot of brag or a lot of this thing that they are gaming. They are able to game the system. So that's one aspect which I like to share with you. The other is that we have no evidence to suggest that things are going in the sort of scripted manner as they claim to be. So again, the data does not suggest that there has been any kind of scripted booking. Lastly, we have taken steps to ensure that those scripted bookings don't take place. There is a CAPTCHA, there is a one-time password, there are certain limits on the session time, and other kinds of things have been put in place to basically check as to whether there is some kind of scripting activity taking place.
Sir, with the current situation, we are seeing numbers of COVID positive cases dwindling thanks to that. But can you just tell me, like, how long it would take the entire population of the country to get vaccinated? I know ministry has to answer, but still, I just wanted to get your opinion, like how many people are using CoWIN apps day in and day out, if you can just.
You have answered my question,
But sir, your opinion.
That's one part. And secondly, actually, the figures as to how many people are booking, how many vaccinations are taking place every day, how many people are registered, these figures are all transparently available on the dashboard of CoWIN. So you go to dashboard.cowin.gov.in and you will get all information, vaccination being done district-wise, registrations being done district-wise, gender-wise, vaccine-wise, number of sessions, number of hospitals participating in the program. So everything, with details you can drill down, it's available on the CoWIN platform. With regard to the question as to how much time will take to vaccinate, obviously it will take as much time as the number of vaccines required for the country. And if they are made available, that is the time which it will take. So I can't really answer that question because I'm not responsible for availability, logistics, or otherwise of vaccines.
Timeline can't be said. Okay. Sir, one question I would like to ask, because when I said that I'm going to interview Mr. Sharma, they said, like, can you please ask this? So I don't want to leave this question out. So I just want to ask, like, a lot of people are like digitally disadvantaged, right? Though it's urban or rural, more in rural, even at urban side. So how this COVID platform going to help them? Like, are we looking out some methods to reach out to those people and help them as well?
Yeah, one of the things which will be is that those people who are doing the scripting and they are wasting their energy in writing scripts to get the bookings done for themselves. One advice will be that why don't you go and help others to these digitally disadvantaged people to access the system much better. Number one. Number two, the system is inherently inclusive. We have designed it that way. One is walk-ins are allowed. And as you know, majority of the people are actually getting vaccinated through walk-ins. 53% of people are getting vaccinated through walk-ins. Thirdly, we have allowed the common service centers, which are 250,000 in rural areas. Out of 600,000 villages, we have 250,000 common service centers. They are now able to do assisted registration of the people. So that's another part. Thirdly, we have opened the call center 1075, where you can do the registration and the booking. So that's another step which we have taken. So there are multiple steps which have been, and then of course 4 people being registered on the same mobile. That itself is a part of the inclusion, because if a family has got one mobile only, all 4 members can be registered on that same thing. So and of course interface being very easy. We are also launching, for example, Arogya Setu in multiple languages. We are now putting the CoWIN web page also, the portal also in multiple languages. That will be done in a couple of days. So I think we are continuously trying to make the system as inclusive as we can. And what is called physical and digital, both things should be done. So physical, you can come to the vaccination center and you can get yourself done. You can do digital appointments also. So I think this is a mode which will ensure that the system is really inclusive in a very, very diverse country like ours. So that's what we are doing.
So one last question and a light-hearted one, because you're one of the topmost technocrats here and you had an illustrious career, you had been dealing with a lot of new technologies. So just wanted to know, among the technologies you have worked for, which was the most challenging one? And also, if you can just specify your success mantra and how you're managing stress, because I've been told you're like battling in and around with a lot of meetings and other things. How you do that? So,
I mean, that's the question which has no relationship whatsoever with the, overall public, policy and the
yes,
interview.
yes. This is a light-hearted question. We
Yeah,
just wanted to know.
light-hearted it is, but I don't want to, become important because it should be a question about COVID. It should be a question about Aadhaar. It should not be a question about R.S. Sharma. But just to answer one part of the question, which has been the most interesting and challenging project, I would certainly say Aadhaar has been one of my most challenging and interesting projects. And I've also written a book about it, the making of Aadhaar. So that I think this was a very fascinating experience. And let me also say that the learnings from Aadhaar are now being put to use. Aadhaar has not only created a digital identity platform, Aadhaar has also given rise to a new paradigm of building applications bit by bit, block by block. So we basically create modules, we create the building blocks, and on that we create new structures. It's like Lego blocks being used to create various type of platforms and structures. And that approach is actually very, very useful. Aadhaar, we said, let it be a open API, let it be open source, let it be open standard, let it be interoperable, let it be scalable, let it be robust, let it be frugal. All these things are now we are using all these sort of learnings into subsequent platforms. National Digital Health Mission platform is being built, and that itself is also based on the same philosophy of being inclusive, ubiquitous, of cost effective, affordable, all kinds of things. So essentially Aadhaar has been my best learning in this career, and that's what I can say.
Thanks a lot, sir. Thanks a lot for the time. Hope I could meet you in person sometime and do another interview when things are good. Thanks a lot, sir.
Thank you very much, Prabhat, for having me on this platform.
Yeah, thank you. Thank you so much.